Sunday, the first full slate of preseason games right here on the NHL Network. We've got a triple header coming your way, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Sabres on the road in Washington, taking on the Capitals. After that, Rangers and Bruins. And last but certainly not least, the defending Stanley Cup champion Golden Knights taking on the San Jose Sharks, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. All those games right here on the NHL Network. Game 1 of the preseason, and I'm sure it's different. Your first year in the NHL versus being a veteran. What are you trying to accomplish in those first games?
Hated training camp.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah.
As a rookie, especially trying to cut your teeth, trying to make a name for yourself doing what I did, it was
probably nice to face somebody other than your team in some of these matchups, right?
No question about it. But really, for the average NHL player, it's an opportunity, assuming you're established, assuming that's not an important part of your game, it's kind of get your game timing back, get your legs back and underneath you, and it's a chance to kind of build towards the puck drop for regular season. Doing what I did, maybe you felt this to some degree, Rupper, you weren't able to have that same experience. So I dreaded training camp, but it got easier as time went on. The more established you got, you could kind of
Did you get into a couple of fights in preseason?
This is the point that I'm trying to make to you. This is the point that I am making. Yeah, it's no fun.
No, it's hey, you're gonna fight when you're not getting paid, where it doesn't matter. You got to go out there, and there's gonna be up and comers that want to make a name by going after a guy like that. So training camp. And the one thing too, when you're looking at that schedule, that I think has changed over time, and you can comment on this when you're playing as well. Like I remember at one point in my career where maybe early on, I felt like we had like a week of camp and then preseason games. I mean now at the end of my career, it's like training camp's opening. Training camp's opening on a Friday, and you got a first preseason game on a Sunday or Monday. It's whoa,
would you like that now? Would you like that?
No, I hate that. No, I don't want to get right into it like that. So, I mean, I didn't love it as well, too. As a role-playing guy, and I think it would be the same thing here. Like the Stars, you get the luxury, and I guess you've earned that. Like they'll come and say, hey, how many games do you need to get ready? We've got 5 preseason games. Give me 2.
Yep.
I'll take the last one and another one in here, probably a home one, so I don't have to go on the road. And those guys will do that. And then the role players, like you're playing the other games, right? Like you're in the lineup. So I mean, I've had years where we've had 8 preseason games. Guess what? I played all 8. And
how many games until you felt like you're ready to rock and roll for opening night?
I felt like for me 2 or 3 games would get me going. So I did need more than somebody else, but I don't think I needed 8.
Early in my career, we were playing more preseason. It felt like back then. I mean, there were in some seasons 8 to 10 preseason games, and I was getting into generally middle stages of my career, getting into the majority of those, 6+ of those, and that's plenty of time, assuming you're getting the reps to kind of get your legs back underneath you. But look at it through the lens of a couple of guys we haven't really talked about to this point, the Bedards, the Coolies of the NHL today, hyper focused on this moment because it's the first real opportunity they get to be shoulder to shoulder with bona fide NHL competition. And they, as much as we've been asking that question, they have been asking that question internally. How do I measure up against the guys, the NHLers who have been around for a while, who are older, physically more mature than me, and have been doing it at this level for a good long while? They're taking stock of that information. So this is a unique and really critical time for them at this moment. This is the launching point. It's been a busy summer to this point for those guys, but now it's kind of a launching point into the regular season. It's the culmination of an off season's worth of work. Can you penetrate? Does it transfer to the NHL level?
Speaking of culmination, he culminated last year, the regular season and the Stanley Cup playoffs in Vegas, winning their first ever Stanley Cup. You've been in that spot before. What is it like coming back, defending your Stanley Cup championship? Are you chomping at the bit to get back on the ice to prove yourself again, or are you trying to extend that offseason a little bit longer?
No, I was excited to get back. I mean, it's not too many times in your life where you're part of a championship team, right? So you want to kind of go out and continue to play like that. Usually every summer or off season, there's some disappointment because there's only one winner of the Stanley Cup every year. But as far as the tough part, and back in 2004, I know playing in New Jersey, when you have won, the next year, and we hear all the cliches, all the lines of, you got a target on your back now. It is true.
Yeah.
It is true. And I know even my first year before we won, because we won in my rookie year, we were playing against the Detroit Red Wings. That was like the game for me. I'm looking at their roster, and just like you said, with all the superstars that they had, Hall of Famers, and it's like, and they won in the prior year. So it's like, all right, well, everybody's watching. Like, if there's ever a moment to see how I line up, it's against the Stanley Cup champions. So it's tough. You don't get any off nights. You're not going to have any teams. You're not going to catch any teams sleeping when you're the Stanley Cup champ.
The Vegas Golden Knights, no longer the hunter. They are now the hunted.